offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first Cannabis Championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
And welcome to another edition of Overgrow the Radio. I have to say, first off, that this is probably one of my favorite shows that I've ever planned. I tried to cram, as I always do, way too much into my 2 hours, but we'll see what we can do with that. I'm actually joined already by my first guest. I'm going to make them be patient with me for just 1 second here. As everyone knows, I started a little segment where, I do what I do. I like to rant. I like to bitch about things that upset me. I can say that word because I'm on the internet, and that's the beauty of it. Dixie Elixirs is our first guest. Trip and his business partner Chuck are in here, and we're going to chat with them in just a second. It was really ironic today, though, when I was out there visiting. I was talking to another employee out there, and she had mentioned that they had just released an article about the importance of testing meds. And, it was kind of funny because that's my rant tonight, so it worked out just perfectly as a segue. So my rant tonight is, in Colorado, we are very lucky in so many aspects. And one of those aspects is we have a ton of different facilities now that test meds. There's a few here in Denver that I know of. I know I've met one or two in the Springs now, I believe. I know of at least one, maybe two. Long story short, you must test your meds. If you don't test your meds, how do you call them medicine? There's, I'm just going to use your guys' little article here as a crutch. There's a lot of reasons to test meds, and I don't have the hour and a half to go into them all. The levels of THC are important. The levels of CBD may be even more important. To me, that's not the biggest issue with testing your meds, though. The biggest issue in my mind and why you should test your meds is because almost every grower uses some sort of, pesticide, chemicals. We talked last week with, a grow shop owner about this. And those things, if they're not flushed properly out of the plants, out of the medicine, they're very detrimental to the health of anyone who consumes them. As great as you think your growers are, as long as you've been doing it, none of us are perfect. We're all human. What's the harm in throwing a couple $100 once every few months and testing your levels? So I'm not going to go into that too long because we do have a busy show tonight, and I will apologize because I usually do news at the beginning, but we don't have time right now. I've got a guy beside me here that likes to talk. I know that. I've only hung out with him a few times, but I've learned that really quickly. So I want to introduce Trip Kieber. Trip is the owner of Dixie Elixir. How are you, sir?
Good, Stickman. Thank you so much for letting me join you tonight. I'm very excited to be here to talk to you a little bit about Dixie X and also answer any of your listeners' questions.
Well, and I didn't give you, the full introduction because I let my guests kind of do that. But you guys have a very exciting thing happening right now at Dixie. This is a line that I have taken a vested interest in, as you know. I come from a flyover state, so to see the ability for these meds to go to people in, Louisiana, Kentucky, Illinois, places like that is incredible. So I'm going to not cut you off now and let you just jump in and tell us what I'm talking about.
Terrific. Prior to getting into the Dixie X, which I'll be happy to talk about, I also just want to add to your rant. I believe Dixie Elixirs and Edibles is probably one of the largest testers in the state of Colorado for aspects related to medical cannabis. So we test all of our products coming into the facility, raw plant material to determine strength and strain. We test again once we establish the cannabinoid oil, the solution, what we refer to internally as the mother's milk, again to determine strength. And then lastly, beginning, middle, and end of every single production run. And what that provides the patient is a level of confidence that we're going to provide the same consistency, the same strength, the same taste. And that's incredibly important. We're starting to see more and more of that adoption within the medical cannabis community, but we can't do enough testing.
Well, absolutely. I think, just to get sidetracked a little more for a second, one of the biggest complaints when I first moved here to be a patient was the consistency of edibles. Back then, prior to 1284, my caregiver, actually, they made their own edibles. And, you get some that were amazing. You get some that just, So I think you guys see that, the importance in testing for consistency and different things. And I applaud you for that.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I really give credit to my science and my science division, specifically Tamar Wise, which is the author of that article. She was a guest contributor to MMJ Business Daily, Chris Walsh's daily blog, and we got incredible feedback. And she and her partner, Darwin, have done an excellent job creating a testing methodology to ensure again, that we tested all three levels, again, giving the patient the level of confidence that he or she needs, that when they're ingesting this all-important medicine, that is exactly what they hope it to be. So thanks for mentioning that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to add to the rant, as they say. But
yeah, man, you're welcome any week. I mean, I should mention that you guys are, I do this later in the show, but you're our newest sponsor. And I believe I talked to Christy today, and we're going to get you back again on the 20th and for your segment.
That's great.
And go to town.
As I told you, Jason, I wouldn't give you the check until the end of the show because I didn't want there to be any suggestion of quid pro quo. But we're happy to sponsor what you guys are doing here for the community, and we really support iCannabis Radio. So it's a pleasure for Dixie Elixirs and Edibles to be one of your sponsors, and we'll come back as often as we can or allowed.
Well, and that's a two-way street, and we appreciate it absolutely. Without you guys, we couldn't operate. We're very picky as a show as to who we bring in, especially when it comes to segments. I have criteria that everyone has to meet. You have to be generous, to put it in layman's terms. Like, you have to give back to the industry, which you guys, if we have time, I'm going to talk a little bit about that. You guys do. I've seen it. And you have to... I know I have a ponytail and maybe a piercing left over, but you really have to be professional for me to want to gel with you and work with you. And I think Dixie fits that model. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you a little bit about the what I would describe as a revolutionary line of products. As many people are now becoming quickly aware, yesterday represented what I believe to be a milestone in the industry. Yesterday, September 5th, we launched the Dixie X, which is a hemp CBD wellness line. And the reception from both patients and consumers alike was, to be blunt, overwhelming. So For many of you, you know we've been distributing this product since the beginning of June through our traditional medical marijuana centers. We currently serve approximately 490 out of the 550 facilities here in the state. And that Dixie X has really helped with the additional adoption. But again, not being able to make medical claims, I'm not a doctor or a physician, but the anecdotal and qualitative feedback that we've received primarily from patients within the state has been overwhelmingly positive. Whether you view our social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, or our various websites, tomorrow we'll go live with a testimonial page on our DixieX.com website that will provide additional support to those individuals, both patients here in the state and consumers across the country, that these products have incredible benefit, if you will. And we're excited to be talking a little bit about them tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna break everything down, absolutely. And I to add right there, I have said this for years, and people look at me a lot like I'm crazy. And now I have a friend in Dr. Robert Mellamede who's there to back me up in this. Our body, throughout, we have cannabinoid receptors. That's fact. It's proven. All the way into your skin, your epidural layer, that type of thing. I'm a firm believer that people who don't ingest some form of cannabis and or hemp have a deficiency. I think your body needs that. I mean, it's shown that that's the only thing those receptors connect with. There's a reason for that.
Sure.
I knock on wood, I don't get sick. I don't get flus. I don't get headaches. I don't get colds. Anything like that. So, for me, it's just that, proof is in myself and what I live every day. Now, I ingest a lot more cannabis than your average Joe, but, I think at any level, and to be able to get these products out, not just to sick people across the globe, but to healthy people who just want to add a more concentrated dose of hemp into their life or into their diet. I mean, I think it's going to be a well-rounded sell to everyone.
Terrific. Well, like I said, yesterday we launched our national brand. If you go to DixieX.com, we have an e-commerce platform. We're rolling this product out nationally. In addition, we've formed strategic relationships in the state of New Mexico, Arizona, California, and just most recently Oregon. So we can talk a little bit more about that as the show goes on.
Absolutely. We're going to jump away to here for just a second, and we're going to pay Mr. Tripp here and the rest of our sponsors. Stick with us. We'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first Cannabis Championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
And we're back here at Overgrow the Radio on iCannabisRadio.com. We're joined tonight by Trip Kieber, and we kept his partner over in the corner there. He's going to be quiet, I think, but his friend and partner Chuck is here as well.
Is the man behind the curtain.
Yeah, man, and we've actually got a studio full. You just can't see it. I've got my intern on this side, and oh gosh, I need to make up a title for Greg. Greg keeps everyone in line around the office. He actually works for the attorneys here, but he keeps us all in line. So we're lucky tonight. We've got a full house. We're gonna jump back in. We take viewer questions from time to time, and I didn't do a good job this week about getting it out 4 questions because we had kind of a lot to talk about. But we did get a question today, and it's a very, a good question. It's a question I had. The feds classify CBDs, as you know, as a Schedule 1, just like they do THC in their infinite wisdom, if you will. As we know, there's no psychoactive properties. Contrary, it actually counteracts THC and kills your high for folks that like that. So how do you guys... in making this product, can you explain to our viewers and listeners how you get around that, how the feds don't come in with their, battling ram and soldiers?
For sure, absolutely. We're not actually working around anything. We're adhering complicitly to both state law and certainly more importantly federal law as it relates to this product. To be first and foremost clear, this is not a synthetic product. So these are industrial hemp-based products, organic, if you will. And so we're not dealing with anything synthetic. I think there's a lot of confusion, particularly when you're talking about organic hemp versus synthetic CBDs and other cannabinoids. These products do not contain any of those types of resources, if you will, or source materials. We are actually legally importing through an FDA import license, kilos of medicinal or industrial hemp, on a month-in-month basis. That product is to ultimately ship to our manufacturing facility, which is a 27,000 square foot facility here in Denver, Colorado. We render that raw CBD paste, which is derived from industrial hemp, into a concentrated oil, and then we subsequently infuse it into the various delivery systems, whether it be a glycerin-based tincture, a topical such as a pain relief, and then certainly our all popular pain scripts, which maintain 25 milligrams per capsule. So it's important to understand that these products, again, are derived from industrial hemp, contain no THC, and can be not only served here in the state to patients and consumers, but also distributed very legally throughout the country and ultimately internationally in the next 60 days.
So essentially the Dixie X line then is almost a separate entity, if you will.
It is indeed. It's very important to understand that these products are manufactured and the key ingredients are dramatically different. We have now, in effect, 2 companies. We have our Dixie Classic, which is the traditional THC-infused products. And again, now we have our Dixie X. I mean, the addressable market here in the state of Colorado for the classics is, again, approximately 100,000+ patients. But those for you who understand what the Dixie X represents, it's a global addressable market. And so ultimately that bodes well for my parent company, which is Red Dice Holdings, and ultimately the public entity, which owns a portion of Red Dice Holdings, Medical Marijuana Inc., because we're publicly traded, and so we're starting to see that movement in the public markets literally in real time.
Yeah, just a side note, a couple of days ago, I totally meant to get on and buy some stock, and I still haven't gotten there. Well, I would suggest that for anyone out there listening, if you haven't already, investing in Medical Marijuana Inc. right now is probably a good idea.
Well, as an officer of the company and a board member, obviously there's certain things that I'm limited to. However, as anybody can see, it is a good buy. We're certainly undervalued based on our multiples. The stock was up alone 14%. I know we're not on CNBC, but for those of you who follow medical cannabis companies and businesses related or on the periphery, it's obviously a company that is, I believe, going to be truly on the move over the next 12 to 18 months.
Well, and let's we'll jump back into the more detailed about the products before we get out of here. But let's jump back a little bit for everyone and kind of just give them a brief overview of Dixie. I know you just kind of explained you have a parent company and kind of not, I don't want to use the term swallowed up, for lack of a better term, though, swallowed up Dixie in the process of growth. Where did Dixie originate? Were you with Dixie from the get-go? Did you buy Dixie? How did that?
We did. We acquired it
culminate?
from a third party. I was actually lending monies to the original owners, and unfortunately it just didn't work out. But the company was basically founded in April of 2010, and we operated in a very modest facility up off Federal. This is truly in the height of the green rush. And we, in effect, started with 2 employees in about a 400-square-foot facility. And I use that term loosely. But if you look back almost 28 months later, it's fascinating. We've got approximately 30 full-time employees here in the state of Colorado, now adding employees in states California, state Arizona. And so it's incredibly exciting. But we've now grown from that 400-square-foot facility to a 27,000-square-foot facility, which I know, Jason, you've personally inspected. And I describe it as
stamp of approval.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it, Jason. We do our best to do things right. It's been fascinating because, as I mentioned previously, there's no medical marijuana for dummies book. I wish there was, because I would have gone out and bought one, and maybe write one someday soon. But creating an infused products manufacturer has been incredibly time-consuming and equally as expensive. We've got millions of dollars in CapEx invested in the facility, but we're really starting to see the benefit of that now. The facility was not designed to distribute THC-infused products in the state of Colorado. It's meant to serve what I believe is a global addressable market, and as of yesterday, we're well on our way to achieving that success.
Well, yeah, I did have the pleasure of coming and taking a tour, and I got some good Dixie swag, as my intern knows. He scored a hat from you guys.
He's looking good.
Yeah, right. He stickered it up. He went all out, didn't he? You guys have an amazing facility for anyone who hasn't had that pleasure. You as you mentioned, you have a team of scientists that works for Dixie. I would love to see, as you guys, as part of your segment at some point, to get them in and let them blow me away with their knowledge.
Well, putting aside my partner who is truly sitting behind the curtain, they are the true brains of the operation. Listen, I've mentioned it before very publicly. I could not have done this on my own. This represents a multifaceted and multidimensional business. I'm an entrepreneur and have built and founded several other companies, but this is by far the most fascinating. I describe it as four-dimensional. We have an incredibly important and intellectual group of individuals that we've amassed, whether it be biochemists and food scientists, PhDs. We have mechanical engineers. We have graduates from Johnson & Wales who act as product managers. We have professionally trained clinical herbalists. The list goes on. And subsequently, we have substantial cost associated with these manufacturing of products. And so, I hear that a lot, wow, the product is incredibly expensive. Well, we all know that testing is expensive, but when you look at our traditional cost of goods sold, it's not easy to do what we do, and we certainly have the ability to earn a fair and modest profit, but we continuously reinvest that so the listeners, whether you're a patient or otherwise, will be able to embrace the products and the medicine that we manufacture.
Absolutely. Well, and that's... in the last few weeks, I've been engulfed in a few debates over Amendment 64, and we won't go there. Dixie has no public opinion. I'm sure of that. That being said, it does address hemp, and I would like to touch on that because, that is the only concern I've really heard about this line. And I think what folks have to realize is you guys do. You have to import all of that hemp.
That is correct.
If 64 were to pass, maybe not next year, but in 2014, Dixie could have a field of hemp somewhere.
Absolutely, and likely save incredible amounts of money as it gets back to the cost of goods sold. Specifically, Phytosphere, one of Medical Marijuana Inc.'s portfolio companies, has approximately 4 years and millions and millions of dollars. We were very public and recent with the press release that we did. It was a $7 million contract, over $7 million. But we have 5 industrial hemp facilities on 4 different continents. My partners from Medical Marijuana Inc. Traveled the globe just 2 weeks ago to inspect those. We're harvesting mass amounts of industrial hemp, preparing for the adoption of these products and the balance of 2012 and then well into 2013.
Well, and I mean, I want to get your opinion on this. Don't you feel it's pretty ironic at this point that we can't distinguish between hemp and cannabis, and that really, I'll venture to say 90% of the modernized world grows industrial hemp, regardless of the international anti-drug treaty. Most of Europe grows it. Canada is a huge producer. And we are, in fact, the biggest consumer of hemp products, the United States. And it's amazing to me that we're not cashing in on that. I mean, in the shape we're in, I understand reservations about cannabis. I've lived in those states my whole life. I was taught, as a child, it's bad. And plenty of people we've still got to overcome that. But that being said, hemp itself was such a huge part of our society until the 1930s. It's hard for me to understand how folks can't come to that realization that you can't get high from hemp. I mean, to put it bluntly.
Yeah, absolutely. They're two distinct plants. I mean, there's certainly some similarities, and they're related, if you will, sister plants. But you're absolutely right. I mean, the U.S. is a massive consumer of hemp materials, whether it be a consumable or a wearable or a construction material. And so should 64 pass, certainly that would provide some great competitive advantage. We've worked tirelessly to properly engineer the genetic strains that provide high yields, high concentrates of CBD, and so we would be well positioned. But in the interim, we've got millions of dollars of CapEx invested in these facilities, again, 5 facilities across 4 continents. And we intend to utilize those until otherwise provided an alternative solution, maybe here in the state of Colorado.
Wouldn't that be nice?
It would be. I've seen the fields. They do exist outside of the U.S.
Well, I'm going to say, man, that transportation fees alone would surely drive down the cost.
Absolutely. That's absolutely. And that was some of the commentary yesterday and certainly today, the costs. And I can only imagine, I'll use an example, a parent that we spoke to yesterday that has a young child that is clearly suffering, and we believe that these products will benefit that individual. We ultimately are a for-profit company, and in order to sustain ourselves, we have to generate even a modest profit. But we are working diligently to craft programs that will provide additional access to patients and consumers alike, whether you're in a medical cannabis state or otherwise, that will make the medicine more affordable. We're very, very keenly aware how important this product is. As I talk about it, I get the goosebump because for the last 2.5 years, I've received personally hundreds of calls from individuals, both mostly consumers outside of the state of Colorado, that just cannot get access to these important products and or medicines. And we just can't do it. We will never ship a product, obviously, that is not eligible to do so. But this Dixie X line represents, again, what I would describe as a revolutionary line of products that, albeit only 24 hours into it, is being received very, very well.
So, I mean, as you know, I've pushed your guys' the X line. I've bragged about it. I've done everything I can. But where exactly? I mean, what was the origin? I mean, it's in my mind, it's revolutionary. No one, I've not seen it. You have hemp products, but you don't have medicinal hemp products where you've extracted CBDs and things of that nature. Whose idea? I mean, where did this come from?
Well, I really attribute it to our partner company, Phytosphere. Again, one of the Medical Marijuana Inc. portfolio companies that exists. You can certainly learn a lot about these companies as well as the beneficial aspects of industrial hemp on medicalmarijuanainc.com. They have a very strong research tab that touts the various benefits of hemp and other related products, including cannabis sativa. But ultimately, if you look at the portfolio companies, they start to integrate and provide what I would call a seamless solution, really from seed to sale, and that would include all points in between: the genetics, the cultivation, the manufacturing, the distribution, and the sales, both of traditional THC products here in the state of Colorado, but then the hemp-based CBD wellness products outside of the state.
That's awesome. And it's, I'm going to have you real quick. We've got a few minutes, and we're going to take a break. I'm going to catch my producer off guard a little bit. And we've got a half an hour, so we're still going to have time to get into each individual product and talk a little more in detail. I'm curious about Medical Marijuana Inc. because I did just mention that folks, I suggest go buy some stock. Brief rundown, you don't have to give descriptions. Are most of the companies related to the industry under that blanket?
That is correct. Again, Medical Marijuana Inc. by law cannot actually manufacture, cultivate, or possess any products associated with marijuana or medical marijuana. So it's very, very careful. The manufacturing facility that I operate in is owned 100% by me. I'm the only licensed individual recognized by Colorado's Medical Marijuana Enforcement Division. I own that business in its entirety. So there really is a distinct line of ownership. But Medical Marijuana Inc.'s portfolio companies, which includes a company that I'm president and CEO of, Red Dice Holdings, is a licensor, if you will. We can go ahead and over the last couple of years, we've established incredible amounts of intellectual property, the research and development, the formulations, the recipes, the GMP, the good manufacturing process, to create these products. And now we are diligently crossing the country, ideally with the goal to serve in all 17 states, but we're working with licensees, if you will. Our partners in Arizona just executed a lease to establish a manufacturing facility, but that has nothing to do with me per se, other than the fact that we're lending the brand in a licensing relationship.
Nice. Well, we're going to take a break in a minute. I'm going to keep Jason guessing for a second. I want to give you guys kudos again real quick. As I stated, one of the criteria is to give back to the industry. And recently we're one of the people fortunate enough to sponsor the clinic's wonderful day at the golf course, if you will. I'll make up my own names for stuff. It was a great day, an amazing day. They sold out. It was all for MS. And you guys did a lot there. I believe you donated beer for the day, and I don't even know what all else, but I'm sure beer was enough,
Another form of medicine, right?
Right.
Yeah, listen, we have incredible respect for the individuals over at the clinic. Ryan Cook, who's the general manager, and the ownership team over there, in particular Max, is a great personal friend of mine. I've got just incredible respect for what they do. We just hosted, I think, close to 80 employees about a month and a half ago at our facility to ensure whether you were a general manager or a trimmer in one of the production cultivation facilities. They came out, got to interact with the various brand managers, the product managers, and it was really a fun evening. But that was a fun event. Generally, I don't get to attend a lot of these events, but it was at Denver City Golf Course. It started at 6. I think I made it there by 9. But it was a great day.
Lucky dog.
But it was very, very well attended. I think they raised almost $10,000, if you will, for MS, and Dixie Elixirs was very, very honored to be part of that. And it's just another thing that we try and give back to the community here in the state of Colorado.
Well, and I'll second that the clinic is a great place. Not only that, but their meds are amazing. They carry all their extracts. I don't know if all their extracts, but at least most of them are made by our IDAB guys, top shelf extracts. IDAB radio on Wednesday nights here at iCannabis Radio.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so I'm fussy with my wax these days, so I'll definitely throw that out for the clinic. They are great people. I also want to mention, I think they're still doing it. They put up the donation for the fire victims, and I did live in Manitou until I decided it was time to move in with my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. But, I appreciate that a lot because the community of Colorado Springs and the surrounding area was really devastated. I took my first drive up through the neighborhoods a couple days ago, and it's sad. There's no other words to really describe it. I got lucky. I could watch the fire burn across the road from my house for days, but it never came across, thank God. So we're going to take a little break on that sad note, and we'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first cannabis championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
My name is Gary Johnson. Today I reach out to you, members of all political parties. I reach out to everyone with a vote and an axe to grind. From the Tea Party, the Constitution Party, the Green and Libertarian parties. I call out to all of you, including the disaffected and disillusioned among the Republicans and Democrats. Today there's a handful of people in Washington ruining America for 330 million of us. They've kept our nation in a state of perpetual war and increasing unsustainable debt. This small group has presided over the elimination of our Bill of Rights and the systematic dismantling of our freedoms guaranteed us under our Constitution. It is them we should be fighting, not each other. We the people will never agree on the small things, but let's agree on the big thing. Our leaders have blown it. If we don't get control of this ship together and fix it together, we all go down with it together. I ask you to join me in trying something that's never been attempted before in America. Let's put our parties and our differences aside one time. Be libertarian with me for one election. Together, we'll stop the spending and end the wars. Together, we'll rebuild our own roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals instead of building theirs half a world away. Together, we'll restore our industrial might and our economy. And if in 4 years we as a people decide we don't like peace, prosperity, and freedom, we can always vote tyranny back into office again. America is better and brighter than this. Be libertarian with me this one time, and I'll prove it to you. Live free.
I think it's time to make more radio. So my producer wags his finger at me and tells me. We're back here at Overgrow the Radio. It's a great night here in Denver. It's a little warm, man. I'm ready for fall. I don't know about you.
It is in the mountains, that's for sure, having just come from Aspen, Colorado.
Nice. I bet it was a little cooler up there today.
It was low 50s in the evening.
Yeah. I'm ready. I'm way overdue to just pack my backpack and run away for a few days. I can't wait.
Starting to see those aspens turn gold as well coming down the pass. Yesterday, it was actually Tuesday. It was absolutely beautiful. It's going to be a spectacular fall here in Colorado.
That's the benefit to a dry year. You know, I learned that as a kid. Unfortunately, you lose I grew up in the farmland, so you lose your crop, but you get a magnificent fall.
Well, I know the cultivators here in the state are going to be happy with the fall and cooler temperature because July and August and even the first 5 days of September have been brutally warm.
Absolutely. So we've got about a 15-minute segment or so left with you guys. I want to kind of go through, if you will, and talk about each product individually. Before we do that, though, you have a campaign that you're working on, I believe, with WeedMaps.
Absolutely.
And I want you to jump in and tell us about it.
We'd be happy to talk about it. I mean, traditionally, Dixie has been relatively frugal over the last 2.5 years, to be blunt, just because we couldn't afford it. But September represented a milestone for our company, and through 3 strategic partners, the United Patients Group, formerly DeBoons, WeedMaps, and then last but not least, Culture Magazine in all 5 of their distribution regions. We launched this Dixie X, which is our hemp CBD wellness line, has the ability to be distributed across state lines, contains no THC. But we're incredibly excited, and I encourage people to go to WeedMaps tonight and check out the video that they did highlighting the various products. We actually have our own drop-down bar, and I believe it probably represents one of the largest deals, certainly the largest deal that we've ever done with an advertiser, but I would dare say maybe the same for WeedMaps. Again, through WeedMaps, United Patients Group, which formerly is DeBoons, and then the Culture. We're so grateful for our strategic advertising partners. And then at the end of this show, Stickman, we will be able to include you on that list as well.
Love it, man. Yeah, we've. I really feel that we'll work out great. I think you guys are going to fit well in our family and vice versa. Cross promotion is really a beautiful thing.
Absolutely.
The more we can do to help you guys get the word out about this line and really all your products, we will. We'll do everything in our power.
One of the things that impresses me about iCannabis Radio, specifically your show, as well as some of your compatriots here that share your studio, is the listeners. I mean, I'm talking about listeners from all over the world. When I was here about a month ago, we were fielding calls and inquiries from the globe, and
Sure.
It just shows you the power of the radio and also streaming video. And so we're incredibly grateful to partners like you for exposing what I believe to be an incredibly important revolutionary line of products.
Well, yeah, it's so refreshing. I get emails all of the time from viewers from everywhere. I'll give him a shout out. A guy who's normally in our chat. I haven't been on the chat much tonight, but Alan, I believe Skywalker is what he goes by on chat. Mm-hmm. Alan is over in Ireland, or Scotland, I'm sorry. And he's working hard over there diligently to fight their laws. So, I think a lot of folks, it's important what we do here because we, in so many ways, are in a fishbowl here in Colorado. Not only for our medical model, but also now with the legalization. We are the only medical state that has the amendment, and that was honestly the reason I moved to Colorado. Okay, maybe the mountains helped a little, but it's just we definitely have to put this out there for people to see. We have to address issues that are current and going on here. We are the role model to follow, in my mind, and I take a sense of pride and responsibility, I guess, to get that word out in a semi-intelligent way. Some people might debate that, but
minus the ranting.
Yeah, well, we had a 420 special where I actually medicated. That was so out of character and unprofessional for me.
Thank God you're not doing it tonight in the studio.
Yeah, I didn't want to get you guys a contact buzz. I know Tripp's not a patient. A lot of people think that, well, I don't know if you are or not, but we had a discussion, and I'm sorry if I put that out there.
That's
but,
okay.
You're not a person who medicates, really. And I think a lot of people have a stereotype of anyone in the industry or business owners in the industry that we're all a bunch of hippies and that we're all, we all look like me. Contrary to popular belief, I can wear a tie from time to time if need be.
You allege that you have long hair. However, I've never seen it because you've always had that do-rag on your head.
I got a haircut today. As you guys know, it wasn't for you. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We're going to interview in the second hour. We're interviewing Judge Jim Gray, who is the running mate of Gary Johnson. Everyone should definitely hang out for that. But, I thought, I better look somewhat respectable. So,
as they say, here come the judge.
At least he's a cool judge. He's on our side. So.
Excellent.
So, Tripp, let's jump in real quick. We've got a few products that are in front of both of us here. My camera's not the best at showing them right now, but I want you to jump in just wherever you want to start and tell us about each one.
Absolutely. So the Dixie X line of hemp CBD wellness products really consist of 3 distinct products. We have the first, which is clearly our most popular based on the data analysis we've done over 24 hours, is a 100 milligram, 1 ounce glycerin-based tincture. It's a sublingual that delivers approximately 100 milligrams of CBD concentrate to an individual. followed by a 2-ounce glycerin-based tincture, same formulation that maintains 500 milligrams. And it's been fascinating to read about this product because, although, again, I cannot make medical claims, I'm not a doctor or physician, but many on the net through our social medias are really describing this as Phoenix Tears on steroids. And we saw an incredibly high adoption rate on this product, again, the 2-ounce 500 milligram CBD. Followed by the ever-popular Dixie Scripts, which is a pain relief capsule, delivers 25 milligrams of CBD to an individual. It's a dry capsule, which has great value in that, first of all, it's simple and easy to transport and carry. If 25 milligrams is just not enough, or if you're looking for maybe something less than 50, you can crack these capsules in half. You can mix some into hot tea or soup and consume it that way. And the feedback that we've been receiving is incredibly important. Again, these products have the ability to provide benefits associated with reduction of anxiety, stress, nausea, MS. The list goes on. And again, I encourage people to go to Medical Marijuana Inc.'s website as well as Dixie X website. We've got research tabs on there that will deliver, in excess of 500 plus medical studies and the associated abstracts that really will show third party, again, the benefits of these products. Last but not least, we have a 50 milligram pain relief salve. It's a topical. It's not to be consumed. But the scent profile on this product is incredibly luring. Again, we've got one of the best clinical herbalists, Deanna Gabrielle, who just got married last week. I'm not even sure if her last name is still Gabrielle, but she's doing an incredible job with she and her team in formulating these incredibly important products. But again, that's just the beginning. We are in the process of formulating additional products. We made a very public announcement just a couple of weeks ago with the announcement, and it'll be the first product that we distribute that is not fully branded Dixie or Dixie X, but it's our Can Chew CBD gum. And these products will be released mid-October and are absolutely going to be taking the world by storm. We have the worldwide international patent on CBD gum that is owned by Can Chew and ultimately the parent company, Medical Marijuana Inc. And these products, obviously, chewing gum is very socially acceptable. And we'll be selling those, I believe, by the 10-pack.
Just don't put it on the bottom of your movie seat.
That's right. It's too valuable to put anywhere other than experience the true value of it. And behind that, we've got a whiteboard in my office, which is highly secure, that lists all the various products that are in R&D. And again, I'm just incredibly proud of my team, whether you're working in the science division or a production specialist or a sales professional. We're doing it collectively, and we're making massive advancements in what I believe to be the industry. And it's for our strategic partners like Can Labs and some of the other testing facilities. Again, tying it back to your early rant, we couldn't do it with them. Every single production run that comes off that shelf goes down to Can Labs. I know Jennifer Murray works with her partner on another show here on iCannabis, and we couldn't do it without them.
I'll give you a spoiler alert. I'm trying to get them to do their own show.
Oh, very good. Very good.
In the next month or so, that might be a possibility. And I'll just throw a quick plug out for the Hemp Connoisseur. We'll talk about them again later, but they're starting a show next Thursday.
Fantabulous.
From 4 to 5. So
we love the Hemp Connoisseur. We've advertised consistently with them, and if my memory serves me, and I'm sure Christy Lunsford, my marketing director, will. But we have actually entered a CBD line or CBD product, an entry into their upcoming. I don't even know what it's called.
I picked my package up today.
Did you really? Good.
I am a connoisseur judge. On a side note, when David asked me, the owner David, he asked me, what level do you want to be? And then he sat there for a second and he looked at me and kind of laughed.
Master.
He's like, never mind. He's like, I think you consume enough cannabis to be a connoisseur.
Yeah. Well, That's going to be a very exciting and probably a different format from some of the other cups here in the state. We respect them all. Our what I now call worldwide famous medicated chocolate truffle won the edibles contest. Actually, second, I guess runner-up, I should say. But that provided global audience of interest overnight, and we're very excited about entering our glycerin-based Dixie X products in that CBD line, and we're hoping for the best.
You guys, I got to tell you a little secret with your truffles. So I have a few dispensary owners as friends, and legally it's cost me a penny. Mm-hmm. But when they have the ones that are close to date, mm-hmm. I tend to visit on the right days sometimes. I'm a chocolate fiend, man. If I can get chocolate for medication, my life is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, referring back to the Dixie Classic line, these medicated chocolate truffles are incredibly powerful. We have 2 levels of medicine. We have a 50 milligram per package, and then we have a 300 milligram per package. Caveat emptor on those, but I would put up against a Godiva chocolate any day. And again, attributing back to our production teams here in the state, they do an excellent job. And on a rare occasion, I eat a non-medicated one, Jason. So.
Yeah, sure. No, I'm kidding. No, Trip's very professional. We're getting low on time. I know you've got another commitment this evening. Real quick, in 5 years, where do you see Dixie? What's your projection for Dixie?
I see the Dixie X line being distributed throughout the world, to be perfectly blunt. When I say that, I get the goosebumps, tying it back to the humble beginnings, where we started just under 3 years ago. But as we've made public, we've already established a company in Romania. We're actually just finishing up our double-blind studies with a couple of universities in the country that will allow us access to the other 15 states in the EU. We're working on deals throughout the world that, again, will bring these incredibly important products, not only domestically but internationally. And for many, I think that's going to be great news, because we all know how damaging pharmacopoeia can be. And I believe that these products, whether it be a sublingual, a tincture, or a capsule, or even a soft gel cap, absolutely can replace those for many individuals. And I think this will be a global company and potentially even less than 5 years.
Well, sir, I just want to say, like I said, we'll do whatever we can to help you guys get the word out and promote this. And, as you know, I have someone very close to me who's already benefiting and loves the product. So absolutely keep up the great work. Real quick, for the 2 people in our viewers that don't know, tell us your web address.
The web address is www.dixiex.com. Follow us on Facebook. Or like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, join our mailing list. We've got some incredibly exciting announcements. Certainly take a close look at that MJNA, which is medical marijuana's ticker symbol, over the counter. And again, we're eternally grateful to you, Stickman, for the support that you've given us, and we look forward to paying it back tenfold over the next months to come.
We'll make a difference. That's what we do. So, yeah, man, we will have, for our listeners, we will have a link to your guys' website up by the morning, I promise.
Okay.
I got a little sidetracked today. Sometimes I'm the do-it-all, and today was one of those days where everything was on my shoulders. So.
Chief cook and bottle washer, I get it.
Right, exactly. So I think what we're going to do, I want to thank you guys for coming in, and we will see you again soon. I don't know if it'll be you in particular, but we will see Dixie in a couple weeks anyway.
We're going to put somebody far more intelligent in the seat, likely Christy Lunsford and others.
I got to tell you, she's got some good ideas for some segments.
That's awesome.
I'm pretty excited. We won't go into any. We'll keep them a surprise. I actually sent a good friend of mine to you guys, and I understand she's working out great, and Colorado Springs is now covered. So
terrific. Absolutely.
Anything else I can do to help you guys out, you don't hesitate.
Thank you, Stickman. Again, I really appreciate it. Check us out at DixieX.com.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. You guys have a great night and safe travels. We're going to take our little 10-minute break, and I'm going to make my back feel better. So if you love iCannabisRadio.com and you love Overgrow the Radio, we'll see you in a few minutes. Peace.
To speaker and listen with a sparkle in your eye, as though you might be thinking, gee, this is the most wonderful thing I ever heard in all my life.
It wasn't long ago that searching deeper meant struggling through songs you never wanted to find. But now, Lexus is helping you look deeper to discover even more songs and artists you want to hear. Use the Lexus Discovery banner and choose the traits you'd like to focus on. You'll get playlists full of music you're sure to love, customized just for you. Brought to you by the entirely new Lexus ES. With every look, there's more to discover.
And we're slow to acknowledge the knots in our laces, audit races. And we go back to where we moved out to the places, audit races. I bought it in a can and stirred it with my fingers, singing.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Dispensary in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first cannabis championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
We're back, and my back's better, and our break's over. It got really empty in here while we were gone, so I put my intern over across the way from me just so I had someone to stare at and make fun of and poke at and make jokes and all that fun stuff. Sam's a good guy. He's come on board. I introduced him last week. We chatted a little bit, and he's going to be a great addition. So I think what we're going to do now, the beginning of the show, normally I do news. And tonight, obviously, we jumped right in with our first guest. They had another commitment they had to rush away to. Again, I want to encourage everyone to check out the Dixie X line. Go to Dixie, to their website, dixieelixirs.com. Check them out, support them. If you've got patients, friends, relatives, sick people around the world, they can now get CBD medicine delivered to their door through that website. So definitely go there and get some medicine to someone you know. It's vital. So we've got some news tonight. What I'm going to do is have my producer call my friend Mark Slaw. Mark sits with me on the board of the Colorado Springs Medical Cannabis Council, and we do a lot of work with patients, patient advocacy, that kind of thing. And we've got a good friend of mine. He's become a good friend through his ordeal, Bob Kraus. Bob is a 64, I think now, year-old leukemia patient who, brief history, was growing his own meds and was raided by our wonderful CSPD VNI unit, Vice Narcotics. You can go ahead and dial. And faced trial and was acquitted on all charges. Well, CSPD, in all of their infinite wisdom, decided to destroy his medicine rather than give it back. So we're going to get Mark on the phone, and we're going to kind of rant about that a little bit, I think. Is the phone ringing?
Message. When you have finished recording,
let's try him
you may
again.
hang up
Let's hang
or
up and
press
try him
1
again.
for more options.
Yeah, to continue the history, I sat through the trial. You can go ahead and dial while I talk. I sat through the trial with Bob, and I really witnessed a lot of ignorance in CSPD, and I really want to get Mark on the phone before I start to call them out on this. Yeah, we'll just pause.
Hello.
Hey, sir, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Jason? How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I got you on the air here with myself, and I've got my new intern, Sam, sitting in with us tonight.
Okay, great.
I gave you a brief introduction, Mark. You've been on the show multiple times at this point, and we're actually a little overdue, I guess, for a board segment. So, I mentioned that we sit on the board together, and I wanted to get you on because you and I, we share a lot of opinions, and, we could talk for hours on these issues, but I started to mention a mutual good friend of ours, Bob Kraus, has another ordeal.
We thought that was over with, huh?
Yeah, we did. I mean, 64-year-old leukemia patient who's just trying to get better. The story, I didn't get into the story yet, but what happened, I gave an overview, of his case. He was acquitted. Per our Amendment 20, really, our Constitution here in Colorado.
Article 3, Section B, absolutely.
There you go. That's why I have Mark on. He's my technical guy. It requires them to return a person's medicine after an acquittal. Today...
Well, we saw that, in Jason Lobb's case, for sure, which was one of the first tests, I think, of, Amendment 20 and Stan Garnett up in Boulder. And, after Jason Lobb was declared not guilty, he was able to get his medicine back. Because that was the product in question over the guilt or innocence of that particular person on trial. So as a defendant, if you're declared not guilty, then I would assume that that cannabis, it covers in the Constitution, the possession, use, and transportation of it should be legal. And in Bob's case, it seems like at least in District 40, they'll give you your medicine back, but here in Colorado Springs and El Paso County under Dan May and CSPD. They're actually threatening him with charging him for felony possession if he receives his medicine back from the police.
Well, and thank you for that segue, Mark, because another reason why I like to have you on is you're the diplomatic, knowledgeable person. I'm the guy who likes to rant. So right now I've got to jump in and call this out because you're right. When I look today, literally you cannot find another case in our state where they've destroyed medicine after an acquittal, period. It does not exist.
Yeah, in this CSPD department, it's important to note that they spent $65,000 of taxpayer dollars to create a shaft that goes up 4 floors from their evidence storage, down in the basement to vent the smell of marijuana because of all the marijuana they hold on to. Because El Paso County Courthouse is the busiest in the state and the #1 courthouse for marijuana prosecutions. Well, all of this seized medicine has never been destroyed before, and it's a very interesting, excuse that they're giving Bob now.
Here's my bigger issue, Mark, is I've said it for a while that I see Dan May as an extension of John Walsh and the feds. That's, the bumper sticker says it all. They're one and the same in my mind.
Definitely of John Suthers. He was his deputy DA.
Exactly.
During the height of the drug war.
Well, and I think the question has to be posed to him. What's going on here? Do we have just a renegade DA that does whatever he wants, that ignores judges' rulings, that ignores the Constitution? In this article...
That ignores a jury of our peers in our justice system, yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, even to go beyond the federal level, you're... In our country, you have the right to a trial with your peers, by a jury of your peers, I'm sorry. And, this basically says I don't care what that ruling was. I'm Dan May. I'll do whatever I want. We're the CSPD. Right. We'll do whatever we want.
And Bob was on Channel 5 last night talking about this. He went to interview in his home and talked about his oil, which we're finding, cannabis really kills cancer cells. And he's sitting there saying, I need this medicine because I haven't been able to grow. I need some poundage of product to create my medicine. And here's the situation for the DA's office when the media contacts them. It says, that's not up to us. We don't decide that. Even though they were the ones telling Bob's attorney that they were going to prosecute him with felony possession if he did get his meds back. Well, so this whole thing is screwy because then they defer to the Colorado Springs Police Department, who then tells Bob miraculously after the news story that this medicine has been destroyed because it would be illegal under federal law for them to give it to the patient.
And let's talk about that for a minute.
Crazy.
I'm going to stop you right there because the whole illegal under federal law crap, sorry for that, but there's no really other way to put it.
I'm sick and tired of that excuse.
They're elected officials.
Lawmakers who are sworn to uphold the Colorado Constitution.
Thank you. Absolutely. They have no legiancy, no loyalty, no commitment, no job description that says they serve the feds. They're elected, like you just said, they're elected by constituents here in Colorado, not in Washington, D.C., not anywhere else in the country, here in Colorado. Their only function...
serve and prosecute in are in Colorado. They're not federal courts, you know?
Yeah, I mean, their only function, their only basis in life is to obey our state constitution. That's all they have to do.
They swear when they take their oath to office, you know?
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all they have to do is just obey our Constitution. But rather than do that, obviously Dan May has brought the federal Constitution or whatever, federal law, Controlled Substance Act.
Federal Controlled Substance Act, which the DAA is going under federal court for on the receiving end as defendants over the scheduling of that substance here in October, right, as we decide, issues like Amendment 64 in Colorado.
Well, and here's the other part of that is I have a great other half, as you know, Meg. She was quick today to send me a bunch of articles on this, and well, number one, like I said, there are no other cases, that have done this, but there's a ton of cases where people have gotten things back. And to take that a step further, a couple of the cases that she sent me were federal cases where the DEA would raid like a grow house, they would get acquitted, and they'd have to return all the grow equipment. Right? Wow. I mean, they're knowingly or knowing what it was used for, they still return it. So my question would be to Dan May, what's the difference between that case and Bob Krause's case? If you're adhering to federal law, obviously the federal court system found it appropriate to return grow equipment, which was obviously used for illegal purposes in the prosecution's eyes, at least. Sure. Same instance here. There's really no difference.
Well, and if that's the case, and this property does belong to Bob, then they have no right to destroy it. And I would imagine that Bob has, a valid civil suit for the value of 6 pounds of marijuana, which is something the taxpayers shouldn't have to fork out because of the incompetence of local police or prosecution.
Yeah, it's really at this point, man, it's absurd. I'm sure you'll probably be there with me on the 17th. Bob has a court date on this, a hearing. I tried to get Bob real quickly this evening on the show, but we'll get him on at some point soon and go into this in more depth. Honestly, Mark, I feel, we do with the board, I think I compare us a lot to MPP, Marijuana Policy Project. We do a lot of suit and tie legislative work, and then I come on the radio and I get to let loose a little bit. But I think what we have in El Paso County, man, is just ridiculous at this point. Obviously, the voters of El Paso County do not... Dan May does not project the will of the voters. What needs to happen is if he can't do his job, he needs to step aside for someone that will represent the voters of El Paso County.
And I really wish somebody had run against him. It's sad to see that he's running unopposed, and we may be stuck with that district attorney for another 4 years who just doesn't have compassion for patients under the law. I mean, we passed Amendment 20 over 10 years ago by majority vote. And to see this zealous prosecution of people who are trying to provide their own medicine for themselves or others is absolutely compassionless and is going backwards in time. I think we tend to see a lot of the moves with that far-right constituency, trying to take us backwards in time when, voters and people want us to progress forward. We don't want to criminalize people anymore for a plant. I think 54% nationwide believes in legalization of marijuana and don't agree with the drug war. The drug war has never met any of its policies. It's failed in every single one. When we could be using these resources to prosecute, meth dealers and actual violent, dangerous cartels who are bringing in substances that, like the heroin that was found at Cheyenne Mountain High School, it just doesn't make sense to go after a 64-year-old cancer patient who's taking care of his cancer through, yes, unconventional means, but certainly it's his choice, it's his body, it's his health, and I don't think the state has any right to step in the way of that and to go as a zealous rampage. Voters and taxpayers should be appalled and enraged about these moves. And it's only happening in this county. You don't see this problem in Aurora. You don't see this problem in Lakewood. You don't see this problem in Denver. You don't see it on the western slope. And you don't see it one county over in Fremont County where you can talk to patients and police have come by and they respect those patients. They walk away. This really is an isolated incident, and I think it has directly to do with where our Attorney General came from, who's very publicly open about being against marijuana. He's from this 4th Judicial District, from Dan May's clique, so to speak, and you're seeing that puppet string play out here in El Paso County, and we shouldn't stand for it. This is why we rallied for Bob, for 14 months. You were there with me in -5-degree weather or, 105-degree weather, out there every time he had to go to court, showing that we weren't going to stand for it as a community. And we shouldn't now. I mean, Bob should have his medicine back, should be able to go on with his life, and I can't believe he's still dealing with this after being declared not guilty 2 months ago. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. The only other viewpoint that I see here, if he's not working directly for John Walsh, is really a personal vendetta. They got beat in every cannabis case that came up in the month of June. The jury's acquitted everyone, and it's. I mean, I would hope that Dan May is not that bad of a person, that he has that big of an ego that this would be true. But the only way I see this is he's trying to kill Bob. He couldn't put him in jail, so let's just take his medicine. Let's do our own thing. Let's kill this guy. Let's get him out of our hair, then he won't make any more problems for us. I hope that's not the case. I hope he is working for the feds. But either way, it's got to stop. It's not what's wanted. Reading these articles that have been out in the last couple of days, look at the comments, Dan May. There's no comments saying, "You're right, District Attorney. Keep killing cancer patients." I mean,
no, it doesn't. It doesn't exist that way. I think that's it's becoming more and more the minority that believes that it's just to go after people for growing a plant or for using a plant that's extremely safe, way safer than alcohol for sure. Safer than most of the prescriptions that people eat every day, and we're number one consumption of prescriptions is here in the United States. And they sit there and use things like 95 or 94% of registered patients are paying patients. They must be faking it. And, not even realizing the logical connection that when you have a choice between a dangerous opiate narcotics or cannabis, it's not a hard choice for your health. Once you do the research, once you experience the results.
It wasn't for me, brother.
Obviously, on this side of it, but there's still that gap that tends to be very judgmental and very, very, zealous and stigmatic.
Oh, I have people in my family who have that viewpoint towards me because I chose to use cannabis rather than lay around doped up on pills. So, yeah, it absolutely exists. It's a stigma we have to overcome that we're working at every day. We just did a great interview with Tripp, and I pointed out how, obviously he doesn't fit the stereotype of the stoner that owns a cannabis-related business, So I think we're breaking the stereotype. I'd like to end with you real quick, Mark, on a more of a positive note out of El Paso County. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but I just want to highlight it again in lieu of this. We know Dan May doesn't, listen to the judges that sit on the bench down there, but, we're going to address this to him. Judge Kennedy, as you know the story, Mark, I'm sure, recently dismissed a case that was very similar to Elisa Kappelman's case. Basically, the prosecution brought the evidence for the case, they did their motions, and the judge blatantly asked, "Is that all that you have?" And the prosecution responded with a yes, and he's like, "Well, I'm inclined to dismiss this case. Unless you can bring something else." Like, and the judge is like, "Do you have anything else to bring?" And they said no, and he's like, "Well, we're going to dismiss this case." So that being said, and here's another refreshing thing, I from what I hear, I wasn't there, but I hear it was a younger DA, a newer guy, and he said to the judge, "Can you please ask my boss to quit prosecuting these cases?"
That is a huge turning of the tide.
Well, in turn, the judge responded to that by saying, "Can you please tell your boss to quit sending me these cases?" So again, I just want to end with, really, Dan May, the big solution here is to not only not prosecute these cases, but let's just quit wasting my money and every other taxpayer's money on prosecuting cannabis cases, period, in El Paso County and throughout the state and the country. Let's use common sense. So, Mark, I'll be seeing you on Monday probably for a board meeting. I'm going to let you shout out our board email real quick while I got you on here, and I promise we'll do a segment soon about the board.
Yep, info at CSMCC, Colorado Springs Medical Cannabis Council, csmcc-net.org. You could Google us at CSMCC, find us that way, or add us on Facebook. We always got good news and information coming out. Tomorrow night, working with the Amendment 64 folks down here, if you're in the Springs area, we'll be holding a Yes on 64 rally at the Black Sheep as well, with some great local bands and great speakers to get everybody pumped up about these last 60 days we have until the election.
Absolutely, sir. I will do my best. I will go ahead and just apologize ahead of time because I'll probably miss it.
All right,
I guess I can announce that my girlfriend and I are, kind of moving in together. So it's a busy weekend.
Nice. Congratulations, man.
Yeah, we'll see how long she wants to put up with me. We'll see how that goes. But Mark, thanks for coming on.
Thank you, Jason.
Again, we'll have you back on soon, and enjoy your evening.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Absolutely. So we're going to take one more break here. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. We've got one more short segment, and then we're going to be on with our possible next vice president. We'll be right back here on Overgrow the Radio. Peace.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
Two of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries in Dispensary in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our two locations, East Platte and West Colorado. And remember,
always be kind to each other.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first cannabis championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the Realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
He caught me off guard and brought me back, I don't know, a few seconds early. So we're back here on Overgrow the Radio. We've got about a half an hour, 40 minutes left. We may run a little long tonight because we've got a great interview coming up with Judge Jim Gray. And for those who don't know, he's been around for a while. We'll get into that with him. He's been an opponent of the drug war, has fought against it for some time, probably before I was really even in... Probably when I thought cannabis was still bad, or when I still thought cannabis was bad. So we're going to call Candace Junkin right now and get a little update on DC. We've got a little event coming up really soon out there. Sam was at our last one. Sam has no mic, so we can't talk to Sam.
Hello.
Hey, Candace, it's Stickman. How are you?
Hi, Stickman. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. How's the East Coast this evening?
Well, it finally quit raining, so that's a good thing.
We could use some of that out here. It's been super, super dry all summer. So,
well, if I could send you some, I would.
Right. Yeah, I don't miss that. The thing about Colorado that I love is when we do get rain, it lasts for a couple hours. You know, rainy days here are so rare. It sounds crazy, but I do enjoy a rainy day because we just don't get them.
Right, and, after it rains, everything's so much greener.
Oh, absolutely. God, we need that. We've had more fires this year than we need in 10 years. So.
Oh, I know.
So we've got a big event coming up, like, really quickly, huh? Just
We
a little
do,
over a month
October
out.
15th.
So I'm going to kind of let you, I've given the overview. I'll jump in and we'll talk about it. But what's going on? Tell the listeners for us.
Well, we have our cannabis quilt coming out, which was inspired by the tremendous statement that was made by the AIDS Memorial Quilt. We've joined with cannabis patients and organizations to complete this quilt that represents a showing of our solidarity and unity in the demands for the legalization of cannabis. And we're getting patches in every day, and we're getting our quilt together. And on October 15th, at our joint venture with Overgrow the government, we're going to unveil this beautiful quilt.
Sorry, I had to be immature and get a quirk in there real quick. So,
our joint venture?
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to question you this evening. I have not been very good recently at keeping up and getting stuff done with you guys. I'm trying to help with logistical stuff and all my busyness. How's the speakers coming? I heard mumblings or rumblings of a speakers list coming together.
Actually, if you go to the events page on Facebook, and I should know the link for that, but it's a really long number, you'll see our speakers list is growing every day. We have some amazing people coming. We have Sean Dunnigan. We have people from Students for Sensible Drug Policy. Drew Stromberg is the outreach director for them. He's coming to speak. We have people like Chris Hirsch from People of the Cannabis Culture. The list is growing. It's growing every day. Of course, Normal, and I could do lots of good speakers. We have Rebecca Forbes and the mother of our cannabis quilt, Dana, who, this quilt was her idea, and we all kind of worked together to make it happen. We have an official DJ. We have some live music.
Yes, let me cut you off real quick. Pinky's great. I love Pinky. I'm going to give her and her husband a shout out. She keeps me entertained whenever I talk to her or get to hang out with her. So do you know, and she wanted us to mention her, and I God, I feel bad, but I don't know the name of their DJ outfit. Do you know that?
It's DJ Chuckles.
Right on.
Is what they call themselves, and they do a lot of the clubs in DC, and they're really good at what they do. And I'm really glad that she's helping us out with this.
Yeah, so I just want to give her a quick plug and say if you're in the DC metro area and you need DJ assistance, they have donated their sound system and services for all the Overgrow events at this point. So big hugs to those guys. I don't think it's looking like I'm not going to be out there for this rally.
Oh no!
Yeah, I've got so much going on here. I really honestly don't have a grand right now to throw out there to come out. So what I did is, as you just mentioned, I put Rebecca in charge from the Overgrow perspective, and Rebecca's great. I don't know if you guys have actually met in person yet, but she's been my right hand.
We're going to meet at the conference, but we do chat a lot on Facebook, and she's awesome, and she has really stepped up and helped me a lot in planning this thing and getting it together. So I appreciate you hooking me up with her.
No worries. Do you guys have, Candace, as I said, I'm going to ask you 20 questions. Do you guys have a hotel or a couple hotels lined up? Are you using the one that we've used in the past? Or?
Well, I talked to the Days Inn in Camp Springs, and they're ready for us. I know some people were trying to find something closer, but the prices as you get closer to DC are just
ridiculous,
outrageous.
I spent days looking for hotels because, it is a concern. It's the last stop on the metro, on the train. Just to give folks an idea, if you are traveling and you want to stay at the Days Inn, it's, I believe, round trip, it's like $6 or something to get into the city. And really, when I did the math, if you're lazy like me and you take a cab, then it's like another $4 or $5 to the hotel from the train station. You can catch the bus. The bus goes down. It's like 50 cents, whatever. It's not that hard. And really, for those who haven't before traveled to DC, you don't really want to drive in DC. It sucks.
No, I mean, I live an hour away from D.C., and we go pretty regular, and we take the metro. We're not trying to drive or find parking. And there's metro stops all over D.C. You can get everywhere. You can certainly get to the Sylvan Theater.
Yeah, absolutely. I will concur and say my ex was from not from Hagerstown, but had lived in Hagerstown, so we traveled to the metro area a lot. And,
Right.
you know, I drove in D.C. like 2 or 3 times, and every time I cussed and spat and hated life. So
Right.
I absolutely suggest anyone going to D.C. for the event, whether you stay there or anywhere, you know, take the public transit. It's clean for the most part. I did see some fecal matter in a corner the last time I was there. It's pretty gross.
You just kind of have to close your eyes to stuff like that, but it's not always that bad. I've been taking the metro for 25 years, and I can tell you it's not bad, and it's easy to get from place to place.
Absolutely. So we're a little limited here. We've got like 1, maybe 2 minutes left.
Okay, well, there's a couple of things that I wanted to say about the quilt, if that's okay.
Yes, please.
Moms for Marijuana, we are still accepting unity blocks from different organizations around the country. If you're interested in getting a unity block on our quilt, you can always contact Mom at Moms for Marijuana, and they'll set you in the right direction. My other announcement that I wanted to make was that today I actually, I'm Maryland chapter leader, and I accepted a position as assistant to the founding director of Moms for Marijuana.
Awesome.
And if the board votes in my favor, I will soon be assistant director of Moms for Marijuana.
Well, congratulations on that. I know
Thank
you've
you
put
very
in,
much.
and I'll thank you on the air for putting in all the work that you have and all the work that you're yet to put in for DC.
Right. Well,
So I need to I'll put a fire under my own self. I'm going to call them tomorrow and get your email to them and Rebecca's so you guys both have a copy of the permit in my absence, and everything will go smoothly.
Okay, sounds great.
I'm going to assume, since I'm not there, since I caused all the chaos with the police after I came home, I'm guessing that they'll leave you guys alone this time since I'm not there. So,
Well, I hope so. Let's hope so. But we're going to be smart.
yeah, absolutely. And again, as we leave, you can follow any of our pages on Facebook, both Overgrow and Moms, and we'll have updates from time to time about the DC event. Also, just on a party note, I want to thank you real quick for coming on again, and we'll talk to you probably next week or the week after again.
Okay, sounds great.
And also I just want to shout out real quick to folks, if you are attending, leave your meds at home for a few hours. DC has more frickin' cops than they do blades of grass. It's ridiculous. We had a cop 10 feet away that couldn't distinguish between a cigarette and a one-hitter. So if you're really not in the mood to get screwed with while you're there, just avoid it and just medicate before you go. I know it sucks.
That's
I have a
great
bad
advice.
back. I have severe chronic pain that I deal with, and I sacrifice for a day. I go and I shout and yell and educate people. So I made and one last thing on a last note, I made a comment on your Facebook that, no matter the turnout, I just want to encourage everyone who attends to get out there and actually talk to all the people walking by in DC. Because when we have these events, when we have these events, a lot of times we're preaching to the choir and the crowd. That's not what we need to do. If I can extend myself to DC and direct anything, it would be to really get out and work the crowd. Our last event, the turnout kind of sucked because I kind of lapsed on promoting. But, I reached a ton of people just by walking out through the crowd. So, Candace, thanks.
Right.
We got to get going because we got to jump right over and call maybe our future vice president. So we'll talk to you
Jim
soon.
Gray, I love him. Tell him they've got my vote.
Absolutely. Well, stay tuned. He's on right now. So we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. So I'm going to direct my producer just to go ahead and dial up Judge Gray, and we won't take a commercial break. We kind of went a little long with Miss Candace. Judge Gray, as I talked about, has, obviously a judge. He got into politics, it looks like back in the 90s more so. He had a run for Senate. And then we're gonna let him kind of fill us in because I don't know him that well. Maybe if our phone works. Stupid phones. Maybe.
Jim Bates.
Hi, Jim. How are you? It's Jason from Overgrow the Radio.
What do you know? For some reason, I was expecting a call, Jason.
Well, go figure.
How about that?
Yeah, it's. You were saying earlier it's a great time to catch you tonight because you've got a drive ahead of you. I'm guessing you're probably out campaigning.
I am. I just finished talking to a high school in the Fresno area. So yes. And cut it short because I was expecting your call, but now I'm yours.
Awesome. Very good. Well, we're going to jump right in with you. We've got, I've informed my producer we may run a few minutes over, and then that's perfectly fine.
Okay.
You know, I have followed, Governor Johnson and his campaign, and, I'm not, to be honest, Your Honor, I'm not that familiar with your history. I was actually kind of taught a lot about you today by a friend. So I want to let you jump in and kind of introduce yourself and then really just give us a brief history because I understand really you've been a warrior against the drug war for quite some time.
Well, I can tell you that after I graduated from UCLA undergraduate, I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Costa Rica. Then I was in law school at USC, and then I was a Navy JAG attorney. Thereafter, I was a federal prosecutor in Los Angeles and prosecuted normal cases, bankruptcies, and some fraud cases, but also, of course, drug cases. And after that, I was a private attorney for about 5 years, and then I was appointed to the bench by Governor Duke Majan at the end of 1983, and I was a trial court judge in Orange County, California for 25 years. During that time, it became abundantly clear to me quite quickly by watching what was happening in my own courtroom, that we're churning low-level drug offenders through the system for no good purpose, ruining their lives in many ways, rendering them unemployable, separating families, putting families on welfare because the breadwinner would then again be in custody. And so I decided, too, if you look and see that we're arresting and convicting even big-time drug sellers, does that mean now that cocaine or marijuana is no longer available in Santa Ana or Costa Mesa? No, it just means it's an employment opportunity for somebody else. So Absolutely. I took a position as a sitting judge, a very unusual thing to do back in 1992, and held a press conference saying our nation's drug policy is not working and we simply must change our approach. That, by the way, is how I also ended up meeting Governor Gary Johnson, because while he was governor of New Mexico, he did the same thing. He said he conducted an audit, as he called it, discovered that our nation's drug policy is simply not working, and as the sitting judge of New Mexico in 1999 held a press conference and said, we've got to change this approach. That's how I got to meet him. And so I've been talking about this publicly ever since, and I've called Governor Gary Johnson the most qualified person to be president of the United States that I know of, not just because he had the fortitude and the courage and the insight to stand up against our nation's drug policy, but also because actually while governor of New Mexico, he left the state with $1 billion surplus and actually stood up for civil liberties. So I guess I made a mistake by saying that too often because he heard about it and asked me to be his running mate. And I said I would do that, so I'm running for vice president as he is running for president. But I said we do that on one condition, and that is that we run to win. Now, none of this moral victory stuff, none of this, let's make a good showing or plan for the future. And he absolutely agreed, but the only thing then he said was, Jim, and this really got my attention, and I think Jason will get yours. If you have different ideas throughout the election campaign than I do, feel free to discuss them publicly. Now, I don't think any of us have ever heard of a presidential candidate that's told his running mate that if you disagree with me, feel free to discuss it publicly, and without knowing, but I guarantee you that President Obama did not say that to Joe Biden, or even Governor Romney didn't say that to Paul Ryan. So those are things that really set this guy out aside from the rest. He really not only talks about good things, but he's done them. He is the most qualified person to be president, and I'm excited to be his running mate.
Absolutely. I was just going to point out real quick that during the first Obama campaign, we actually saw some tiffs between him and his running mate because of that, if I'm correct. There were some hard feelings about difference of...
You'll remember that President Obama, when he was running for president, said one of the most impressive things I ever remember a candidate saying, because, he said in his books, well, he used marijuana regularly while he was in Chicago. Somebody asked him, but did you inhale, the old Clinton joke?
Sure.
And he said, yes, I thought that was the whole idea. And I thought, finally some candor. Unfortunately, now that he's president, look what he's done. He's completely turned his back on this stuff. And I would ask him in the debates, Mr. President, would it have helped you when you were using marijuana and even cocaine, according to what he said in his books, in Chicago? Would it have helped you to have been arrested and incarcerated? Would that have helped your career? Why are you doing this with other people? And I think he has no answer to that.
Well, and let's face it, as a minority, our president should be the first one to see that it is minorities in our country that are really the victim of the drug war. It's sad to me.
Yes.
I wanted to get your opinion.
It does not take a sociologist to go through any jail or prison in our country and see that people of color are vastly overrepresented. And this is unconscionable. This is not what our country stands for. And I don't know why they continue to allow this to happen. I tell black groups, if I'm at their churches, or Hispanic groups, if people that looked like me were in custody as much as people that look like you, we would have changed this system long ago. We'd never stand for it. Why are you so quiet? And we're trying, of course, to galvanize those people into we are their voice, as Governor Gary Johnson and Judge Jim Gray, and I think we're being successful.
Well, you're exactly right. I mean, if this, for decades now, the war on drugs, if they were going into the upper class or even, middle class neighborhoods on a regular basis and knocking in doors and killing pets and injuring people in these raids over, drugs, you're right, the policy would be non-existent right now. I want to get... We're going to talk about some other issues while I've got you on, but real quick, I want to kind of digress a little bit and get your opinion on what you think the motivation is. I mean, really, your generation, and I say that, but I'm not far behind you. I'm catching you quickly. The top of my generation, your generation, really saw through the 70s, the initiation of a if you will, a new fire in the war on drugs. That being said, it was a generation that really was very accepting of a lot of drugs. What do you think, that being said, why do you think this war continues? What do you think, in your opinion, what is the motivation for it?
Well, unfortunately, it's money. And it's always baffled me, just like you're asking, because I'm a child of the 60s, and now we are putting our children in jail for doing the same thing that we did when we were their age. And I've never really figured it out. But I was actually in the offices of two sitting congressmen in Orange County, conservative Republicans so-called, one-on-one, and they told me in their own words, Jim, you don't understand. Most people in Washington do understand that the war on drugs is not winnable, but it's eminently fundable, and they're addicted to the drug war funding. You're talking huge, mind-boggling amounts of money, both for the good guys and the bad guys, and they both have that vested interest partnership, in effect, in perpetuating the status quo with this policy of drug prohibition. And I go on to say that drug prohibition is the biggest failed policy in the history of the United States of America, second only to slavery. And that sounds like an exaggeration, but it is not. Jason, you could bring up any type of issue you want in our country today, and I could show you how it is being made worse because of the policy of drug prohibition. It is not a pretty sight.
Well, not only that, but to just go on what you're saying there, there's so many industries that do benefit, monetarily from the war on drugs. I would love your help and anyone else. I've had an idea for years that if we were to end the war on drugs, shift that economy over to a hemp-based economy like we originally were as a country, we could move forward and probably would not be in the recession we're in. We obviously would not have all of the societal problems that we have from the war on drugs. Is that an opinion that you share?
Well, it certainly is. As I say, in fact, don't listen to me. Listen to the Attorney General's office of the state of California, because we submitted an initiative called Regulate Marijuana Like Wine to the Attorney General's office. We were not able, unfortunately, to get it on the ballot this coming November, but we'll try for 2014. But in their review of it, they said if we were to treat marijuana like wine and regulate it like wine, we would save tens of millions of dollars in enforcement costs every year in California alone, and, listen to this, generate hundreds of millions of revenue each year just for the state of California alone. And that's not even, that's talking about hemp. It's talking about taxing and regulating and controlling this subject, that marijuana is the largest cash crop in the state of California, for heaven's sake. It's funding juvenile gangs all around the country. It's funding terrorist groups all around the world. Again, we couldn't do it any worse if we tried. And as far as hemp is concerned, it's billions of dollars. We are now importing $1 billion a year of hemp from Canada, for heaven's sake, punishing our manufacturing, punishing our agricultural interests, and of course, Canada's doing real well. It makes no sense at all. And Governor Gary Johnson and I are going to change that once we're elected to Washington.
Absolutely. Our first guest, I know you were in a function, Trip Kieber, who owns Dixie Elixir here in Colorado. Yesterday, they had a worldwide launch of a hemp-based CBD medicine. Basically, it has all of the components of cannabis minus the THC, so it's available worldwide. And we did touch on that. I really think, we are missing the boat right now with we are the world's biggest consumer of hemp and hemp products, which is just absurd to think that we don't grow it, that every bit of that is imported. I mean, the billions that we're missing out on is just atrocious.
Well, you are fortunate in Colorado or enlightened that you have on the ballot now your initiative 80, is it?
64.
64, thank
yes,
you.
Sir.
You'll treat marijuana like alcohol. Governor Gary Johnson and I in our campaign have endorsed it. And we've also endorsed the initiatives in the state of Washington and Oregon to treat marijuana like alcohol. It's a wonderful idea, and it will really force the federal government's hands. There's going to be a revolution, and you folks in Colorado are leading the way. Good for you.
I appreciate that.
I think it should pass.
I was actually going to get to that with your opinion. There's been, I've actually personally been involved in some big debates over the last couple of weeks that it's really ironic what's news these days. Our news outlets out here apparently cover Facebook debates these days. But, one of the big concerns from the people who are against 64 is the feds. And really, federal law changing is great, but in my opinion, it's a pipe dream. What's going to have to happen is the same thing that happened with alcohol prohibition, where it's a state thing and the dominoes fall. Do you think, their opinion is that once we legalize, which is absolutely going to happen in November, that the feds will just go all out, come in. And my opinion on that, I want to get yours, but my opinion is, we don't have the resources to do that.
You're absolutely right. I was a federal prosecutor, as I say, and it's an open secret that the federal government simply does not have the resources to prosecute street crime, volume crime. They simply don't. And, by the way, it is absolutely appropriate and legal for Colorado to have their own laws. And they're also, according to the United States Supreme Court, not required to enforce federal laws. So they can have every right of looking at the federal government and saying, okay, we understand the Supremacy Clause controls, but we're not going to enforce it. If you want to enforce these stupid federal laws, you're going to have to do it all by yourself. And we widely know the federal government does not have the power to do that. And I really cannot conceive that they're going to spit in the eye, in effect, of the voters of Colorado and say, we know more than you do. They're going to have to back off. And the same thing with the voters of Oregon and Washington. They're going to have to back off. And once that happens, all kinds of fewer, poor, harmful things are going to happen. You were touching on this a moment ago, but anytime you have a program, there are always some winners and some losers, right? I mean, that's true in education, it's certainly true in healthcare, and it's true with regard to the war on drugs. Ask yourself, who are the winners today with regard to our policy of drug prohibition? I have 6, see if you agree with me. And the first are, the drug lords, the big-time drug sellers. They're making tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars each year, tax-free, by the way, and they're laughing at us. Second group, of course, the juvenile gangs. The major source of juvenile gang funding around the nation is what? The sale of illegal drugs. So they're coming out ahead. The third group, honestly, is people in law enforcement. They're trying to enforce the laws against the first two guys. Now, I'm not saying law enforcement is not doing a good job. They are. They're arresting more people, getting larger seizures and forfeitures, etc. But we're still farther away from getting anywhere positive. And their fiefdoms from law enforcement continue to get stronger and bigger funded. So they're winning. Fourth group are politicians that talk tough on drugs, not smart, but they keep getting elected and reelected by doing it. Of course, that's our fault, but they're winning. Fifth group are those in the private sector that make money because of increased crime. Who might that be? Well, people that build prisons, obviously a very lucrative thing to do. People that staff prisons. I don't know about Colorado, but in California, the strongest political lobby group is the Prison Guards Union, and it's probably the same in every state around the country.
Sure.
People that make burglar alarm equipment, etc. And the sixth group of people that are winning, this is a little tougher, are the terrorist organizations around the world. They get their primary source of funding from the sale of illegal drugs, such that I say the drug prohibition is the golden goose of terrorism around the world. So, I mean, it's not a good group, and we've got to turn that around by getting the money out of it, and then we can start addressing the drug problems, because there are those too, but the drug money problems are far worse than the drug problems themselves will ever be.
Absolutely. Well, and when we had Governor Johnson on a month or two ago, we addressed, the wars overseas. And I just want to point out some irony that we're over in Afghanistan actually guarding poppy crops that eventually make it here to the streets to become heroin.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? But we've given up trying to eradicate them because they're too entrenched, and the drug lords are too strong, and it's just too much upheaval. So like you say, I mean, the irony is just unbelievable that, yes, we are protecting the heroin poppies in Afghanistan to our own detriment.
Well,
but, if you're looking for logic, you're looking at the wrong place as far as looking at the war on drugs.
Well, and it's becoming more and more apparent. It's great to see it as an issue so much in the mainstream nowadays. You guys bringing it up, and different politicians really standing your ground. I just got to throw a quick kudos out for that, because there for years and decades, I'm sure there were views such as yours and Gary's, but at the same time, everyone just went with the status quo. Everyone was scared to take that stance and actually voice that opinion.
Well, I've been doing this for 20 years now, and the governor's been doing it for ever since 1999. I'm proud to know him. He's a man of fortitude, and not only that, he'll do it for other areas of our society as well. This is a man of integrity and a man of action and accomplishment. Again, he's the most qualified person to be president of the United States that I know of, and I'm proud and excited to be his running mate.
I would concur, and he absolutely has our show endorsement. Okay, we're gonna get off the drugs. Nice pun there. I want to jump over, and we touched on this, I believe, with Governor Johnson. My other half. My better half, I'll put it that way. She is the chair here in Colorado for the We Are Women movement, and I'm not sure if you're familiar. It's a fairly new movement, but it's springing up across the country rapidly. Their first protest here in Denver was, I'd say a couple thousand strong, so it's very inspiring. They actually had most of our state lawmakers that could get out were out for the day. I believe I counted like 25 people out there to speak. I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. There, in my opinion anyway, there's definitely a war against civil rights, but right now it seems to be a focus on women's rights. And it's more, the GOP that seems to be manning it, with some of what I like to call the extremists of the party leading the way. What do you guys see happening with that, and what direction would you take the quote-unquote war on women?
Well, I'm not sure that I have seen a war on women as such. We have a war on minorities. We have a war on various economic groups. We actually are, because of the Republicans and Democrats and the way they're running this campaign, they're trying to make it into a class war. The 99% against the one or the filthy rich against the poor, and all the rest of that sort of stuff. There are the issues with regard to abortion. That's just a hard issue. Governor and I actually are pro-choice until the fetus becomes viable. That is used as maybe a war on women.
Sure.
And there's always the class feeling. I mean, there are these problems, But honestly, Jason, I think we're getting better at a lot of these things, and that the laws are helping, and so are social mores. You look at my law school when I was at USC Law School in the 70s. I don't remember. I think we had like 15 women out of class of 200. Now in most law schools, there are more women than men.
Sure.
So, progress is being made also. Unless you have something specific, I think I've pretty much given you my answer.
Well, and I'll agree to an extent that I think a lot of these issues like this are really played up by the mainstream media, hungry for news. We live in a world of 24-hour news, so they run out of news. So things like who's marrying who and things like that become news. And you get someone who has, makes these really extreme comments about reproductive rights or whatever. And I really think the media does a really, I want to say, horrible job of making a mountain out of a molehill there. The other thing, I think...
Don't get me started on the mainstream media because, they are advocates and they certainly have positions. I'll also go on that subject because it rancors me so much. You probably know who Jesse Ventura is, the former independent governor of Minnesota. And he was being interviewed on CNN, 3 or 4 weeks ago, and actually made the comment, unbeknownst to them and unbeknownst to us, that he endorsed Governor Gary Johnson, the Libertarian, for president. That was great, and we appreciated it. That was live, but when they put it on their website, they actually deleted that endorsement. So you can tell where CNN was and what their bias is.
Wow.
And the mainstream media, it's a money-making organization, and they're sensationalists. They have their own points of view, and they're not friends to the people so much. They're friends to themselves.
Well, and really, I agree 100%. They all have agendas, and they're corporations. They're owned by quote-unquote corporate overlords. And I think if you look, a great example of that is actually the White House press corps. When they follow the president around and they're at these events, in the old days, I'll use that term, in the old days, reporters went out and found stories. Nowadays, if you watch them, they're like sheep. They sit there until they're told that it's time to hear what's being said, and that's what they'll report on. And then, of course, it goes back to the studio and gets cut and edited and all that fun stuff. So I would absolutely agree. So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, life happens, and, people are in business to make a living. And certainly the media are in the money-making business, and they all have their agenda. And it's really unfortunate. All we ask is the people go to our website, GaryJohnson2012.com, look at what we've got, and they'll be happy with what they see. And again, they will see that we are in the mainstream of American political talk today. Neither Obama nor Romney is. That we are both financially responsible and socially tolerant. And no one with a straight face is going to say that President Obama is financially responsible. And honestly, no one with a straight face is going to say that Governor Romney is socially tolerant. We are there. All we have to do is be in the presidential debates and one vice presidential debate in October. If we are in there, we'll be seen as viable, we'll be given an equal opportunity, and I think we'll be the odds-on favorite to win the election. But we have to be in the debates. So again, we just need your listeners to, when they're called on a polling organization, don't hang up, for heaven's sake, and your vote is your own, but say, I support Governor Gary Johnson. Get us in those debates, and we will merit your vote thereafter.
Absolutely, sir. And we are running out of time, but we will do our best. We're going to get you guys back on hopefully a couple times before the election. As I said, our show absolutely endorses you. I'm all over the place. Go from liberal to conservative depending on the issue. And I'm pretty much in line with just about your whole platform. So I would, just keep up the great work. And, if there's anything else we can do here as a station to help you out, just let us know.
Well, indeed so. It's a pleasure to be with you and to talk with good people. And congratulations on these initiatives, the 64. You really are onto something there. And again, just encourage people to look at our website, GaryJohnson2012.com. We will merit your vote and spread the word. Take it personally. Get a link to our website. Ask your viewer, your listeners, to send it out to their email world with their endorsement saying, I'm convinced on this. Look at what Governor Johnson talks about and has done. You will love it too, and have them send it to their friends. Just doing that alone will will get us into the debates, and then it's going to be really exciting.
Sure.
So thank you. Fun to be with you. Look forward to doing it again a couple of times in the next couple of months ahead.
Absolutely, sir. Again, have a great night, and we'll talk to you soon, and hopefully we'll talk to you at some point in the White House.
Look forward to it.
Right on.
And talk to you then. Thanks a
Thanks
lot.
a bunch. Have a great
Good
night.
luck to us all. Okay.
Absolutely. Bye. So I think if my producer and my intern are okay, we'll just go ahead and end that on that note. Before we do, though, I have to mention our sponsors, and I apologize to them for waiting till the very, very end tonight. Our newest sponsor, our first guest, Dixie Elixirs. As we talked about for an hour, they have a great new line of products out, the Dixie X line, which is available worldwide. So make sure to visit their website and order some. Check them out. Green Monster Glass, which makes all my glass. It's reasonably priced. If you need to stock your dispensary, get in touch with them on Facebook. SoCo MMJ is one of my favorite dispensaries in the Springs. I have a few because they sponsor me. The next one would be In Dispensary. They have 2 locations, one on, I believe, East Platte, had to think for a second, and West Colorado. So make sure you stop in. Definitely support In Dispensary because the Realm of Caring is a branch of them. And what the Realm of Caring does, they're another sponsor. They help cancer patients get the oil we were talking about earlier in the show that will save their life. So that's realmofcaring.org, I believe. .org. Yeah, just Google it. We Grow Colorado. Drew does a monthly segment with us here on the show. He is a phenomenal grower of meds. He started way back in Cali and brought his skills here. So he is on East Bijou down in the Springs. Make sure to check him out. Can't forget about the Hemp Connoisseur Mag. I saved them for last because they are actually starting a show next week from 4 to 5 on Thursday afternoons before my show. So make sure to check them out here. Hope they start next week. We'll get everything worked out there. And until next time, I would announce next week's guest, but I'd rather leave it a surprise for a few days. So we're just going to sky out and go home and smoke a fat bowl. So everybody, my message for the night, I guess, number one would be if you have someone suffering that does not live in a medical state, definitely put them in touch with the Dixie website and get them some products ordered. It's got all of the medicinal things in cannabis minus the THC. So, spread the love with that. Also, it is an election year. There's so much going on. And, just briefly, I just want everyone to get out and get involved. Help register people to vote. Every store I go into, I see people with their clipboards, and that's very encouraging. This is a big year, as our next vice president was saying. We've got initiatives on the ballot, guys. We've got to get out there and support these and take those steps to full repeal of cannabis laws. It will happen someday, and we'll all be happy. Until next time, we love you. Thanks for tuning in, and peace.
The law offices of Edson, Mayton, and Matz provide criminal defense, medical marijuana defense, and advice about setting up and running medical marijuana centers, optional premises cultivation operations, and infused product manufacturing businesses throughout Colorado. With offices in Denver and Aspen, we can offer assistance throughout the entire state of Colorado. Give us a call at 303-831-8188. That's 303-831-8188. Or visit us online at warrenedson.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Stanley.
And I'm Jesse Stanley.
2 of the brothers here from National Geographic's American Weed, and we'd like to invite you to come into our dispensaries, In Dispensary in Colorado Springs. Come in for the most pure organic strain selection in Colorado. It's all hand-grown by the Stanley brothers, especially for our patients. So come in and visit us at our 2 locations, East Platte and West Colorado, and remember,
always be kind to each other.
Hi, Josh Stanley here from National Geographic's American Weed. I'm here with my brothers, and we've just recently put together a foundation in Colorado to allow for cancer patients and other patients of debilitating conditions to be able to get a hold of cannabis-based oil that's just about free of charge. I've just about had it with seeing sick patients suffer needlessly just because they can't afford the proper medication. That's what the Realm of Caring is going to change. Visit therealmofcaring.com. The website will be complete and up on 4/20 20 of 2012. But until then, please contact any of us Stanley Brothers directly through email. You can get us at gratefuljosh@hotmail.com. Now come on, Colorado. We need to take care of each other. Join the realm. That's realmofcaring.com. Thank you so much.
The Hemp Connoisseur is Colorado's premier guide to hemp culture. Our mission is to elevate the image of the medical cannabis and hemp industries to create widespread acceptance of the cannabis sativa plant. You can find the latest issue of the Hemp Connoisseur at more than 200 7-Elevens, your favorite dispensary, MMJ doctor offices, and tattered covered bookstores. Do you consider yourself a cannabis connoisseur? Then come be a part of the Hemp Connoisseur's first cannabis championship. Visit us at thcmag.com for info on how to sample the best medicine Colorado has to offer.
My name is Gary Johnson. Today I reach out to you, members of all political parties. I reach out to everyone with a vote and an axe to grind. From the Tea Party, the Constitution Party, the Green and Libertarian parties, I call out to all of you, including the disaffected and disillusioned among the Republicans and Democrats. Today there's a handful of people in Washington ruining America for 330 million of us. They've kept our nation in a state of perpetual war and increasing unsustainable debt. This small group has presided over the elimination of our Bill of Rights and the systematic dismantling of our freedoms guaranteed us under our Constitution. It is them we should be fighting, not each other. We the people will never agree on the small things, but let's agree on the big thing. Our leaders have blown it. If we don't get control of this ship together and fix it together, we all go down with it together. I ask you to join me in trying something that's never been attempted before in America. Let's put our parties and our differences aside one time. Be libertarian with me for one election. Together, we'll stop the spending and end the wars. Together, we'll rebuild our own roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals instead of building theirs half a world away. Together, we'll restore our industrial might and our economy. And if in 4 years we as a people decide we don't like peace, prosperity, and freedom, we can always vote tyranny back into office again. America is better and brighter than this. Be libertarian with me this one time, and I'll prove it to you. Live free.